Hello DailyClout, I'm Kate Melgoza and I'm the Associate Editor at DailyClout. And today I want to be discussing with you Maryland's new abortion bill entitled Pregnant Persons Freedom Act of 2022. It's Bill 669 for the Senate. Okay, so I'm just going to read you the summary of the bill so we can kind of understand what we're dealing with here and talk about why it's an issue. So the summary reads, for the purpose of altering certain provisions of law relating to the termination of a pregnancy and investigations of or criminal penalties or civil liabilities for a pregnant person or a person assisting a pregnant person, prohibiting a certain provision of law that requires the termination of a pregnancy by a licensed physician from being construed to apply to a certain pregnant person, and generally relating to the termination of the pregnancy. Later on, it also reads, nothing in this section shall be construed to confer personhood or any rights on the fetus. Okay, so Associate Council Member Olivia Summers, who is with American Center for Law and Justice, is commenting on the bill, and she says, the bill also proposes a revision of the fetal murder manslaughter statute that would serve to handcuff the investigation of infant deaths unrelated to abortion. In other words, this would effectively legalize infanticide. So we're going to kind of delve into what she means by that because there's a lot of things that are unclear in the language of the bill. So first of all, there is a kind of discrepancy or lack of clarity with the term perinatal. So part of the bill says, this section may not be construed to authorize any form of investigation or penalty for a person experiencing a perinatal death related to a failure to act. Perinatal, first of all, there's not a clear definition in the Maryland Code as to what exactly perinatal means because it's very different than prenatal. So prenatal is obviously before birth, whereas perinatal, depending on what definition you're using, that actually ranges starting at 20th to 28th week of gestation and ends between 1 and 4 weeks after birth. If the bill is specifically saying perinatal, we don't actually know if they're talking about before the baby is born or after it is born. So there's a writer from the National Review, his name is Wesley J. Smith, and he cautioned that the bills would lead to allowing lethal injections on newborns left to die. Which is a good point because with something that is focused on the perinatal period and not the prenatal period, which, is a whole other conversation, but when you're allowing perinatal lack of medical care and not considering leaving newborns to die after birth a criminal offense or manslaughter, that's really problematic. I mean, we can talk about abortion in general and timing and all of that all day long, but with this bill, specifically what we're talking about is a baby is born and no one's going to press charges if the baby was unwanted or if there was a failed abortion and the baby isn't necessarily entitled to any medical care after birth. So you could just ignore the baby after it's born until it dies and no one would be charged with it because it's in the perinatal period and they're not defining what that is. They're not saying prenatal, they're not saying before birth. That's a whole other conversation. Although really, if you think about it, they're not that different. Specifically with this, we're talking about their lack of clarity in defining what perinatal means, what that period means, what it would allow after birth, if a baby is born alive, if it's still eligible to be aborted within the state of Maryland. I mean, we heard earlier, part of the bill reads, nothing in this section shall be construed to confer personhood or any rights on the fetus. But again, they're saying perinatal, so at what point after birth now are we coming to the conclusion that even after birth it's still a fetus? Is that what we're saying? Because the language is very contradictory here. I'm going to throw some links below to the ACLJ, American Center for Law and Justice, petition that they're having people sign to go against this bill, and also some contact information for state representatives in Maryland about this bill. So educate yourselves on it, educate yourself with the language, and understand that the lack of specificity in bills like this is very dangerous because that creates so many loopholes for people to get away with tons of different stuff. I have also linked the bill on our BillCam tool. on DailyClout, so be sure to check that out. You can also search other bills within the state of Maryland or whichever state you're in. You can search by keywords and also by representative. These are really important things to think about, so thank you for watching, and don't forget to subscribe to DailyClout.
It's Naomi Wolf of DailyClout, and I am asking you to please, if you like the video you just saw, support us, become a member, donate. You can send checks to P.O. Box 24, Millerton, New York, 12546, or go to DailyClout, DailyClout, become a member or donate. Thank you so much for your support. Every penny goes for paying our hardworking staff, paying hosting costs, and paying our lawyers who have been leading the fight to keep you safe and free, to keep the Constitution safe and to keep you free. Thank you so much.